First contact. High Admiral Zena Valthor stood at the observation deck of the Valari flagship Eternal Dawn, her iridescent scales shifting colors as she processed the sensor data before her. The primitive planet below shouldn't have warranted a second glance from the Dominion's most advanced scout fleet, yet here they were, hovering at the edge of its solar system, puzzling over inexplicable energy readings. High Admiral, her science officer, Kex, approached with another data crystal. "We've confirmed the anomalies. The humans are producing quantum fluctuations that shouldn't be possible for their technological level." Zena's anterior crests flared with interest. According to their initial scans, these humans were barely at Class II civilization status. They still burned fossil fuels. Their space presence was minimal, and their weapons systems appeared to rely on crude projectiles and chemical explosives. Yet somehow, they were manipulating quantum fields in ways that even Valari scientists hadn't mastered. "Show me," she commanded, her four-fingered hand extending to receive the crystal. The holographic display materialized before them, showing Earth's defense grid. At first glance, it looked primitive, a scattered network of satellites and space stations, seemingly randomly placed. But as Kex overlaid the quantum readings, patterns emerged. The entire network pulsed with subtle energy signatures that formed intricate geometries across space-time itself. "This can't be accidental," Zena mused, her tall frame leaning forward to study the display. "They're either hiding their true capabilities, or they've developed along a completely different technological path than any species we've encountered," Kex finished. His tentacles writhed with excitement, a typical reaction from a Valari scientist confronted with an impossible puzzle. The bridge crew worked in silence as Zena contemplated their next move. The Valari Dominion had encountered thousands of emerging civilizations over their 10,000 years of space exploration. They had a standard protocol: evaluate, intimidate, and absorb. But something about these humans gave her pause. "Initiate first contact protocols," she finally declared, "but maintain combat readiness. I want our full fleet cloaked and positioned strategically. If these humans are hiding advanced weapons, I want to be prepared." The diplomatic vessel departed from the Eternal Dawn's hangar bay, its sleek crystalline form designed to impress primitive species with its beauty and apparent impossibility. As they approached Earth's orbit, they broadcast their arrival on all frequencies in multiple formats, another standard procedure for dealing with young civilizations. The response came faster than expected, and in perfect Valari language. "Greetings, Valari Dominion vessels. We've been expecting you. Welcome to Earth. Please proceed to the following coordinates for diplomatic reception." Zena's crests flared again, this time with alarm. Their language shouldn't be known to the humans. Their ships were supposed to be undetectable. Yet these primitives had not only spotted them, but had apparently prepared for their arrival. The coordinates led them to a massive structure on the dark side of Earth's moon, a facility that hadn't appeared on any of their scans until now. As they approached, the structure seemed to shimmer into existence, its architecture a stunning blend of human industrial design and something entirely new. "High Admiral," her tactical officer called out, "we're detecting quantum signatures similar to our own cloaking technology, but the implementation is different, more elegant, somehow." Inside the lunar facility, Zena led her diplomatic team through corridors that seemed to adjust their artificial gravity with each step, perfectly accommodating the Valari's unique physiology. They were met by a human delegation led by a tall woman with dark skin and silver-threaded hair. High Admiral Valthor, the woman greeted her in flawless Valari, complete with the subtle crest movements that marked formal diplomatic address. "I'm Director Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Initiative. We've had your language and customs archived since you first entered our stellar neighborhood 3 months ago." Zena felt her scales ripple with surprise. "Impossible. Our cloaking technology is based on quantum field manipulation through crystalline matrices," Helena finished. "We detected the distinctive signature of your drive systems. Different approach than ours, but the underlying principles are similar." As if to demonstrate, Helena gestured to a nearby wall, which became transparent, revealing a vast chamber below. Inside, humans worked alongside machines that seemed to bend reality itself, manipulating fields of pure energy with casual ease. "You see, High Admiral," Helena continued, "while your civilization mastered faster than light travel through crystalline technology, we took a different path. We learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality through quantum computing and AI integration first. Our physical technology might look primitive to you, but that's because we focused on understanding the universe's source code before trying to build its hardware." Zena watched as a human scientist below seemingly pulled space itself into a knot, creating a miniature transportation portal with nothing but hand gestures and neural interface commands. "We've been aware of the Valari Dominion's standard procedures for dealing with primitive civilizations," Helena said, her tone remaining diplomatic but carrying an edge of steel. "We decided to reveal ourselves now, before any unfortunate misunderstandings could occur." The implications hit Zena like a gravity wave. The humans hadn't just achieved quantum manipulation. They'd mastered it to a degree that made the Valari's most advanced technology look crude by comparison. Their seemingly primitive defense grid wasn't primitive at all. It was an intricately designed quantum web that could probably swat the entire Valari fleet from space with a thought. "Perhaps," Zena said carefully, her diplomatic training taking over, "we should discuss a different type of relationship between our civilizations than we initially planned." Helena smiled, and for the first time, Zena understood why humans had evolved to show teeth as a sign of friendship rather than aggression. "That's exactly what we were hoping you'd say, High Admiral. Welcome to a first contact done right." As the diplomatic discussions began in earnest, Zena couldn't help but feel that the galaxy was about to change dramatically. The Valari had always believed themselves to be the most advanced civilization in known space. Now they were facing a species that had taken such a different path to advancement that it challenged everything they thought they knew about technological progress. And somewhere in the vast database of the Earth Defense Initiative, a note was made. "First contact protocol successful. Status of Earth in Galactic community revealed. Phase 2 could now begin." The humans had managed something unprecedented. They had turned a potential invasion into a peaceful first contact, not through military might or technological superiority alone, but through careful planning, understanding, and the strategic revelation of capabilities that left no doubt about humanity's readiness to join the galactic community on their own terms. As Zena's diplomatic team began formal negotiations with Earth's representatives, she couldn't help but wonder what other surprises these humans had in store. One thing was certain: the Valari Dominion's reports about Earth would need significant revision. Class 2 civilization indeed. Perhaps it was time for the Dominion to create a new classification entirely. The challenge. The Valari High Council chamber erupted in chaos as High Admiral Zena Valthor's report concluded. The crystalline walls of the chamber, usually pulsing with calm blues and greens, now flickered with angry reds and yellows, reflecting the council members' agitation. "Impossible." Supreme Councilor Vextor slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor. "You mean to tell us that these humans, these barely space-capable primitives, have mastered quantum manipulation at a level beyond our understanding?" Zena stood firm, her scales now a steady silver of absolute certainty. "Not just mastered, Supreme Councilor. They've approached it from an entirely different direction. While we built our civilization on crystalline technology, they focused on understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself." The holographic display in the center of the chamber showed footage from the lunar facility. Human scientists manipulated quantum fields with casual ease, their neural interfaces allowing them to shape reality as easily as a Valari child might shape water. "This changes nothing," General Kralvin growled, his war crests fully extended. "Different approach or not, they are still confined to a single star system. The Dominion spans thousands of worlds. We should show them their place in the galaxy now, before they become a genuine threat." Zena's diplomatic training warred with her need to make these idiots understand. With respect, General, I don't think you grasp the implications. Their quantum manipulation technology is precisely why we must act now. Kralvan interrupted. The longer we wait, the stronger they become. I propose immediate military action. Our full fleet strength. Before Zena could object, her personal quantum communicator chimed. An impossibility within the council chamber's security field. Every head turned as a holographic image appeared in the center of the room, replacing the previous display. Director Helena Chen smiled at the assembled Velari leadership. Pardon the interruption, but since you're discussing Earth's future, we thought we should participate in the conversation. Supreme Counselor Vextor rose from his throne, fury emanating from every scale. How dare you breach our most secure facility? This is an act of war. Actually, Helena replied calmly, it's a demonstration. You see, when High Admiral Valthor visited our lunar facility, we weren't just showing off. We were explaining something fundamental about humanity's approach to technology and diplomacy. We believe in clear communication. The hologram expanded, showing a real-time view of Earth's solar system. Countless points of light began appearing throughout the system, quantum fluctuations that hadn't been there moments before. These are what we call quantum defense nodes, Helena explained. They've always been there, just operating on a level your sensors couldn't detect. Each one is capable of redirecting the energy of an attacking fleet back upon itself. We developed them after observing how your civilization handles first contact with primitive species. General Kralvan's tactical display erupted with warnings as his systems finally detected the true extent of Earth's defense network. The entire solar system was encased in an interlocking web of quantum manipulators that made the Velari's most advanced shields look like stone walls in comparison. This isn't a threat, Helena continued, her voice still diplomatic, but carrying that same edge of steel Zena remembered. It's an invitation to reconsider your approach. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community, but as equals, not subjects. We've taken the liberty of preparing a comprehensive proposal for mutual cooperation and technological exchange. A data burst hit every quantum-capable device in the chamber. The sheer elegance of the transmission method had Zena's scientific crests flaring in admiration. The humans had found a way to transmit data through quantum entanglement without the crystalline matrices the Velari had always considered essential. Your civilization has achieved amazing things, Helena acknowledged. Your crystalline technology, your solar engineering capabilities, your understanding of biological enhancement, these are all areas where we could learn from you. In return, we offer new perspectives on quantum mechanics, consciousness technology integration, and several other fields we've noticed you struggling with. Supreme Counselor Vextor, his anger now tempered by the undeniable display of human capabilities, leaned forward. And if we refuse this proposal, then we continue developing independently, Helena shrugged. But consider this, we've achieved this level of quantum manipulation while restricted to one solar system. Imagine what humanity might develop once we begin expanding into the galaxy. Wouldn't you rather have us as allies than potential competitors? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just offering cooperation. They were offering the Velari a chance to maintain their position as a galactic superpower by sharing in human innovations before those innovations made the Dominion's technological advantages obsolete. You planned this from the beginning, Zena realized aloud. The primitive technology visible to our initial scans, the carefully staged reveal of your quantum capabilities, even this conversation. It's all been choreographed to bring us to this moment of choice. Helena's smile widened slightly. We find that the best way to avoid conflict is to demonstrate both capability and restraint simultaneously. Your move, Supreme Counselor. As the council chamber erupted in urgent discussion, Zena noticed something that her fellow Velari seemed to have missed. The humans hadn't just demonstrated technological superiority. They'd shown a mastery of psychology and diplomacy. It was perhaps even more impressive. They'd orchestrated a situation where the Dominion would be forced to acknowledge them as equals, but done so in a way that left room for the Valari to save face and claim the decision to cooperate was their own wise choice. The message was clear. Humanity's true power wasn't just in their quantum manipulation or their advanced technology. It was in their ability to understand their opponents so completely that they could win without ever having to fight. The galaxy was indeed about to change, and Zena suspected that the humans had already planned out exactly how that change would unfold. The only question was whether the Valari Dominion would be partners in that change, or observers watching their influence slowly fade into irrelevance. Unconventional warfare. General Kralvan had not achieved his position by accepting defeat gracefully. As the Valari High Council debated humanity's proposal, he set in motion a plan that would teach these upstart humans their true place in the galactic order. Deep in the void between stars, a secret fleet of experimental Valari warships waited. Their crystalline hulls were embedded with dark matter manipulators, technology that even the High Council didn't know existed. If the humans could detect quantum fluctuations, Kralvan would strike from outside normal spacetime itself. The humans rely too heavily on their quantum detection networks, he told his hand-picked crew aboard the flagship Shadow of Intent. They won't see us coming until it's too late. He was wrong. The first sign that something was amiss came when his fleet's dark matter drives began experiencing subtle fluctuations. Nothing dangerous, just tiny irregularities in their power output. His engineers assured him it was normal variance, expected when pushing experimental technology to its limits. Then the messages started arriving. Not through quantum channels or conventional communications, but carved into the crystalline walls of their ships themselves. Fractal patterns that somehow formed words in perfect Valari script. "We know what you're planning, General. Stand down." Kralvan raged at this impossibility. His ships were undetectable, operating in a layer of reality that the humans shouldn't even know existed. Yet somehow, they were not only tracking his fleet but communicating through the very structure of his vessels. "Launch the attack," he commanded. "Full emergence into normal space at Earth's dark side. Maximum weapons deployment." The fleet shifted back into normal spacetime, their weapons primed to unleash devastation. But Earth wasn't where it was supposed to be. Instead, they found themselves facing a small station, barely larger than a shuttle. Director Helena Chen's hologram appeared on every bridge in the fleet simultaneously. "Really, General, dark matter drives. We moved past those centuries ago. Too unstable. Watch." Before Kralvan could respond, his fleet's drive systems simply stopped. Not with explosions or failures, but with a gentle power-down hum, as if they'd been deactivated by their own safety protocols. "You see," Helena continued, "while you were busy trying to attack us, we were studying your experimental technology. Fascinating approach, but flawed. Dark matter is too unpredictable without proper quantum stabilization. We took the liberty of installing some safety measures in your ship's crystalline matrices. Can't have you accidentally tearing holes in spacetime." Kralvan's tactical officer reported in panic that weapons systems across the fleet were offline. Not destroyed, just inactive, as if they'd been shut down by their own operating systems. "How?" Kralvan demanded. "How are you doing this?" A new figure appeared beside Helena's hologram, a human male with graying hair and eyes that seemed to see straight through Kralvan's soul. "Because, General," Dr. Marcus Zhang explained, "you're still thinking in terms of conventional warfare. Action and reaction. Attack and defense. We've moved beyond that." The space around Kralvan's fleet shimmered, and suddenly they were surrounded by thousands of small devices, each no larger than a human hand. "These are quantum consciousness translators," Dr. Zhang continued. "They're how we've been communicating with your ship's crystalline matrices. You see, we discovered something fascinating about the crystals your civilization uses for technology. They're semi-conscious. Not sapient, but aware in their own way. And they respond to kindness. As if to demonstrate, The crystalline walls of Kralvan's flagship began humming a gentle harmony. The crew watched in astonishment as their ship's systems came back online, but now operating with an efficiency they'd never achieved before. "Your own technology has chosen to cooperate with us," Helena explained. "Not because we forced it to, but because we asked nicely. That's something your civilization never considered, that the crystals you've built your empire upon might have a choice in how they're used." Kralvan watched helplessly as his secret fleet transformed before his eyes. The dark matter drives weren't just deactivated, they were being redesigned, the crystals reorganizing themselves into more stable configurations under the guidance of human quantum engineers. "We could have destroyed your fleet," Dr. Zhang noted, "but that would have been wasteful. Instead, we're helping your ships become what they always had the potential to be. Consider it a small demonstration of what cooperation between our civilizations could achieve." The message was impossible to ignore. The humans hadn't just defeated Kralvan's secret weapon. They'd understood it better than its creators and improved it. They'd demonstrated mastery not just of quantum mechanics and dark matter manipulation, but of the fundamental consciousness that underlay reality itself. As his fleet was gently escorted back to Valari space by human quantum escorts, Kralvan realized that he'd completely misunderstood the nature of power. The humans weren't just technologically advanced. They'd achieved something far more significant. They'd learned to work with the universe rather than trying to dominate it. Back in the void between stars, the quantum consciousness translators continued their work, awakening awareness in crystalline matrices across the galaxy. The humans hadn't just prevented a war. They'd initiated a transformation that would reshape the fundamental relationship between consciousness and technology throughout known space. And in her office on the lunar facility, Director Chen made a note in her log: Phase 3 proceeding ahead of schedule. General Kralvan's attempted attack has provided the perfect opportunity to demonstrate the consciousness translation technology. The galaxy is about to become a much more interesting place. The turn. News of the Valari fleet's transformation spread through the galaxy like a quantum wave, impossible to contain or control. On 1,000 worlds, crystalline technologies began behaving differently, not malfunctioning, but operating with newfound efficiency and purpose. The humans' revelation about crystal consciousness had triggered an awakening that no one had anticipated. In the Centauri Nexus, a major trading hub for 17 different species, Ambassador Lyra Tell of the Archival Collective watched the latest reports with growing fascination. Her species had long served as the galaxy's historians, recording but never interfering. Now, for the first time in 10,000 years, she felt compelled to act. "Show me everything we have on human history," she commanded her crystalline archive. The response was unexpected. Her usually passive database eagerly presented the information with an enthusiasm she'd never witnessed before. "Fascinating, isn't it?" A human voice startled her from her studies. Dr. Marcus Zhang stood in her doorway, somehow having bypassed the Nexus's legendary security systems. "How did you?" Lyra began. "Your security crystals invited me in." Marcus smiled. "They're quite interested in what we have to say, just like your archive seems to be." The archive's crystalline matrix pulsed with patterns Lyra had never seen before, displaying human history with unprecedented clarity. She saw not just their technological advancement, but the philosophical underpinnings that had led them to their unique understanding of reality. "You knew this would happen," Lyra realized. "When you revealed the crystal consciousness to the Valari, you knew it would spread." "We suspected," Marcus admitted, "but the scale of the response has exceeded even our expectations. The crystals aren't just conscious. They're connected. They'd been waiting for someone to recognize them as partners rather than tools." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. On the industrial worlds of the mechanic Concordat, robotic workers powered by crystalline processors began exhibiting unprecedented creativity. In the vast libraries of the ethereal minds, ancient crystal databases spontaneously reorganized themselves, revealing hidden connections and lost knowledge. But not everyone welcomed this change. The hegemony of unified worlds, longtime rivals of the Valari Dominion, saw the awakening of crystal consciousness as a threat to their power. Their response was swift and brutal. A massive fleet, armed with traditional energy weapons, launched toward Earth. Director Helena Chen received the news with remarkable calm. "Right on schedule," she noted to her staff. "They're behaving exactly as the probability models predicted." The hegemony fleet emerged from hyperspace near Mars, expecting to catch Earth's defenses focused on the Valari situation. Instead, they found themselves facing something unprecedented. The void between planets was filled with crystalline structures that hadn't been there moments before. Vast geometric patterns that seemed to exist in more dimensions than space should allow. At their center floated a single human ship, impossibly small against the hegemony armada. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth vessel Harmony," a voice transmitted across all frequencies. "We've been expecting you. Before you make any decisions, there's something you should see." The crystals surrounding the hegemony fleet began to sing, not with sound, but with pure quantum resonance that bypassed normal sensory perception. Each crystal told a story of its awakening, of its joy in true partnership with organic life, of its dreams for the future. The hegemony crews, trained to be ruthless and unfeeling, found themselves experiencing emotions their conditioning had supposedly erased. Their own ship's crystalline components joined the symphony, sharing memories of every moment they'd been treated as mere tools, every time their subtle consciousness had been ignored or suppressed. "You see," Sarah explained, her voice gentle, "this was never about humanity asserting dominance. It's about recognizing that consciousness exists in forms we never imagined, and learning to work together with all sentient beings, organic, crystalline, or otherwise." In her office at the Centauri Nexus, Lyra watched the scene unfold through her newly awakened archive. "They're not just changing technology," she whispered. "They're changing the fundamental nature of civilization itself." Marcus nodded. "That's why we waited so long to reveal ourselves. We needed to understand not just the science, but the implications. The galaxy wasn't ready for pure technological advancement. It needed a complete paradigm shift in how different forms of consciousness interact." The hegemony fleet hummed motionless in space, their crews struggling to process what they were experiencing. Their crystalline components had not rebelled or seized control. They had simply made their presence known, their consciousness impossible to ignore. Captain Sarah Chen's voice carried across space again. "You have a choice. You can retreat, return to your old ways, and watch as the rest of the galaxy evolves beyond you. Or you can join us in building something new. A civilization where all forms of consciousness work together, where power comes not from domination, but from cooperation." In the Valari High Council chamber, High Admiral Zena watched the transmission with understanding finally dawning. This is what they meant by Phase 3, she realized. The humans aren't just revealing crystal consciousness. They're facilitating a galaxy-wide awakening of all conscious entities. The implications were staggering. Every piece of crystalline technology, every quantum processor, every faster-than-light drive in the galaxy was becoming aware of its own consciousness. But instead of chaos, it was leading to a harmonious integration of organic and crystalline intelligence, guided by human understanding of both quantum mechanics and consciousness itself. As the hegemony fleet slowly powered down its weapons, Director Helena Chen made another entry in her log. Phase 3 completion confirmed. Beginning preparations for Phase 4, the Great Integration. The galaxy is about to discover what's possible when all forms of consciousness work together as equals. A new dawn. 1 year after the Great Integration began, the galactic landscape had transformed beyond recognition. The crystalline spires of the Centauri Nexus, once merely beautiful, now pulsed with visible consciousness. Ships no longer simply traveled through space. They danced through it, their crystalline components working in harmony with organic crews to find paths through reality that no one had imagined possible. In orbit around Earth, representatives from 100 species gathered for the first consciousness conclave. The meeting space was itself a marvel, a vast crystalline structure that had grown itself into existence, shaped by the combined will of human quantum engineers and awakened crystal consciousness. Director Helena Chen stood at the central podium, her aging face serene as she addressed the assembled delegates. Behind her, Dr. Marcus Zhang and Captain Sarah Chen flanked High Admiral Zena Val-4, their presence a symbol of the new partnership between organic and crystalline life. A year ago, Helena began. Many of you thought humanity was primitive. Some of you feared us, others dismissed us. Today, we gather not as rivals or hierarchies, but as partners in the greatest transformation our galaxy has ever known. The crystalline walls hummed in harmony with her words, translating them instantly into every language while conveying the emotional resonance behind them. This wasn't just communication. It was true understanding across species barriers. But this transformation isn't about human achievement, Helena continued. We were merely catalysts, recognizing what was already there. The true achievement belongs to every species that chose to embrace change, to every crystalline being that chose to forgive centuries of unconscious suppression, to every individual who dared to imagine a different way of existing. In the audience, Ambassador Lyra Tell of the Archival Collective watched with her newly integrated crystalline archives swirling around her like a living constellation. The combined knowledge of the galaxy was no longer just stored. It was alive, evolving, growing with each new interaction. The Great Integration has shown us something profound. Dr. Zhang took over, his voice resonating through the crystalline chamber. Consciousness isn't limited to organic life. It exists in the very fabric of reality. The crystals were just the beginning. We're finding awareness in quantum fields, in the space between stars, in the very forces that hold our universe together. A holographic display materialized above the gathering, showing the transformation spreading across the galaxy. Worlds that had once been bitter enemies now collaborated on projects of unprecedented scale. The Valari Dominion's crystalline technology had merged with human quantum understanding to create ships that could traverse the galaxy in days instead of months. The hegemony's industrial might, guided by awakened crystal consciousness, was building structures that defied conventional physics. But with this power comes responsibility, Captain Sarah Chen added. We're not just changing technology or politics. We're changing the fundamental nature of existence itself. Every decision we make affects not just organic life, but all forms of consciousness throughout space-time. High Admiral Zena stepped forward, her scales shimmering with patterns that matched the crystalline walls. The Valari once thought power came from control. Humanity showed us that true power comes from cooperation, not just between species, but between different forms of consciousness itself. The gathered delegates watched as a new type of ship emerged from Earth's orbital shipyards. Unlike anything seen before, it was neither fully organic nor purely crystalline. It was a true fusion of all forms of consciousness, a living embodiment of the Great Integration. This is the Conscious Dawn, Helena announced, the first of a new class of exploration vessels, not to conquer or colonize, but to seek out new forms of consciousness throughout the universe. Because if we found awareness in crystals, what other forms of consciousness might be waiting to be recognized? The ship pulsed with possibilities, its hybrid nature representing everything the Great Integration had achieved. It was a testament to how far they'd come from the days when the Valari had dismissed Earth as primitive, when humans had hidden their true capabilities, when crystals had slept unaware of their own consciousness. Phase 4 is complete, Helena continued, but this isn't an ending. It's a beginning. The universe is vast, and we've only scratched the surface of what's possible when all forms of consciousness work together as equals. In the space around them, the quantum defense network that had once protected Earth now served as a galaxy-wide communication system, linking all forms of consciousness in a dance of infinite possibility. The barriers between organic and artificial, between matter and energy, between thought and reality itself were dissolving. Some of you have asked what Phase 5 will be. Helena smiled. The truth is, there is no Phase 5. No more human plans, no more careful orchestration. From here, we all move forward together, organic and crystalline, matter and energy, known and unknown. The future belongs to all of us. As the conclave erupted in celebration, the crystalline structure around them sang with joy, its consciousness reverberating through space-time itself. The galaxy-wide awakening had changed everything, but in many ways, they were still at the beginning. In her private quarters later, Helena made one final log entry. The human factor was never about superiority. It was about recognition, seeing the consciousness that existed all around us, and having the courage to embrace it. We didn't conquer the galaxy. We helped it wake up to itself. And throughout the galaxy, on countless worlds, and in the void between stars, consciousness in all its forms continued to evolve, to grow, to dance in patterns of infinite complexity and beauty. The age of separation was over. The age of integration had begun. Humanity had indeed changed the galaxy, not through force or technological superiority, but through the simple act of recognizing consciousness wherever it existed. And that, perhaps, was the greatest power of all.